One day, George the steamroller was waiting for Percy to take him to a new workplace. George was being rude to Renes and Skarloey. Replied Skarloey. Retorted George. Then Percy arrived to take George away. He was still rebelling. The little engines were pleased to see him go. They called. George grumbled all the way to the old branch line. He was going to turn it into a road. When they arrived, George was rude again. Said Percy. Huffed George. Percy was still fuming when he met Thomas. Puffed Thomas. George was now enjoying himself. He chortled. Thomas took no notice. George felt insulted. He shouted, but Thomas didn't hear. At last, the workmen reached the level crossing. Said George. So they did, but not properly, and George knew it too. Later, Thomas was travelling home on the same line. He was pulling trucks filled with vegetables. The signalman had forgotten to warn his driver about the crossing. Said Thomas happily. Called his driver, but it was too late. Next day, Percy told Gordon all about George. Snorted Gordon. George had been taken to some yards to work. As he was chuffering about, Duck arrived with a train of empty trucks. George was blocking his way and a truck was stuck on the main line. Demanded Duck. Said George. Duck's driver went to complain to the station master, but the signalman had already switched the points and set the signal to allow Gordon to speed through. His passengers were singing his praises and he was making express time. He whistled long and loud as he approached the station. Suddenly, he saw a truck on the line ahead. But the truck wouldn't move. Until Gordon forced it. By accident. Gordon was worried that the Fat Controller would be cross. He was, but not with Gordon. And he did, a few days later. Said Thomas. George had been found out by the Fat Controller and punished. He looked miserable. Said Percy. I hope not, don't you?